Dear Nigerians and wonderful viewers, welcome to your darling station, The Living TV. Today we are on it again, your favorite program, Nigeria Today. In Nigeria Today, we'll be looking at the Senate presidency seat that has really gone agog. As we open up the floor, analysts are here to do justice to this. From my far left, I have Barrister Chukwuemeka Nwogwu. Barrister Chukwuemeka Nwogwu is a practicing lawyer, also a security consultant, and a human affairs analyst. Barrister, welcome to the program.
Thank you, moderator, good day, viewers.
After him, I have Comrade Nnamdi Lekwachi. Comrade Nnamdi Lekwachi is first and foremost a historian, political affairs analyst. He's a man who is in tune and in love with numbers and dates. Comrade, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me join you. Good afternoon, viewers.
And your command has not changed. Chinedum Adila is my name. On Saturday, a group called Campaign for Democracy CD called on the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, and the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, to immediately investigate and arrest the aspirant behind alleged 10,000 bribe. It was alleged that one of the aspirants gunning for the Senate president seat in the 10th Senate has allegedly given a bribe of $10,000 to each of the senators-elect on the platform of the All Progressive Congress, APC, to pave way for him to the number 3 political seat in the country. This is how we are going to take them beat by beat. Council, I want to start with you on this. But before we look into the nitty-gritty of this report, must the ruling party produce the Senate president, irrespective of the qualities of other members who are there in the National Assembly? Must it be the ruling party?
No, it must not be the ruling party. When they get elected into the legislature, whether at the state level, national level, they have rules that regulate their practices there and conduct. The first is that they usually choose leadership from what you call experienced parliamentarians. And the experienced ones are usually returning members, those who were in the previous parliament or assembly. So that's where they will look at. Secondly, recall also that it has to do with majority is all about democracy, and democracy is all about majority. So the party that enjoys the support of the majority at any point in time would tend to have an upper hand in selecting, and maybe from amongst the experienced parliamentarians, so to say. So from that perspective, I think even from the results so far declared by INEC, it would then seem that the ruling party at the center also has a majority. Not the type of previous majority in this assembly, the 9th assembly, that is outgoing. It's no longer as overwhelming as it is presently. In the 10th assembly, they are going to have some more close call than they had, and so they might not be able to really hold sway all the time. Remember that when they are getting elected, simple majority to enter, but for you to now remove him, talk of 2/3, it's no longer simple. So right now, it's easy for that simple majority to slip, considering that they have from the ruling party, we hear from the grapevine. From southeast, we have not less than 2. And from south-south, we have, I think, 1 or 2. So if you even take it that you have 3 parliamentarians experienced from the ruling party, 3 of them. By the time they split their votes, it's not going to be comfortable. That will now mean reaching out to their colleagues from the other political parties, and that may be what they are doing at the moment.
All right, comrade,
Yeah.
if we are talking about outside majority, if we are talking about experience, and as people then, is there no possibility that other persons from other parties, whether minority, who are well experienced and versed in the job, can they contest for this?
Yes, I think council did justice to it by saying they have the rules or the order they follow in doing these things. And most of you see that the whole thing falls back on the party with the highest number of seats. You understand? Because you will also have a majority leader and the minority leader. But it is not written in our constitution that the party with majority must, as a matter of fact, produce the speaker or the president of the National Assembly. But also remember that it has happened before that a member of the opposition was elected as a principal officer at the National Assembly, and that was Ike Ebremadu, the embattled Ike Ebremadu, who was in fact the longest serving deputy senate president. He served twice as a member of the PDP with David Mark, later served once again under Saraki in the 8th Assembly. So that being the case, it's just the business of the National Assembly. They are expected to do this independently of the executive of any arm of government, but it is hard to see that happen because in most instances we've seen that the president, not just Buhari or anybody, just the president, including Obasanjo, will have interest in who becomes the National Assembly leader or the speaker or the president of the Senate, as the case may be, in which case it may now affect them, you understand, their ability to independently choose. They now begin to, even the lobbying itself we are even talking about sometimes does come from the executive. So that is it. But all things being equal, there is no law that says somebody from minority cannot emerge. But it's just that they have their way of doing things which may make it difficult under the circumstance.
All right. The aspirant who is sharing money is said to have given this money with a view to getting their votes on the assumption of office come June 2023. Now, and also it was from the party source, it was quoted that this matter, the money was given to one of the senators from the South to, share from the South geopolitical zone to share, to make sure it goes round. Council, let me come to you again. If we are talking about quality leadership, must this seat be lobbied for?
Lobbying should be distinguished from bribery.
Okay.
There is nothing wrong with lobbying. It is a parliamentarian language. It is understood. It is even encouraged. That is lobbying, which simply also means like canvassing.
Exactly.
That is what lobbying. You adduce what you consider to be superior arguments that will sway people to your side. However, some people, the persuasion, they understand. You understand? The persuasion, the argument.
Yes, it's inducement.
That they either have or understand and appreciate. I don't know if you understand me.
How much is involved?
Yes. So once that lobbying is going like that, then things begin to get twisted out of context. Because if you have a meritorious argument, you will be free to adduce it, devoid of any ulterior motive. However, for some other person who is afraid that he might not have the backing of similar persuasive argument or submission, may now resort to his only available, will I say, tool of persuasion, So when you have somebody who is clearly incompetent by almost any standard, but the person out of desperation is desirous of occupying that position, and the person happens to be a money bag or has the support of some powers that be, because they want a stooge, controllable stooge, somebody who will be able to sell out the Omunna. You understand?
Yes.
Then they will now be behind that person. Go, we will sell you, we will market you. And they'll call legislators from their own area and say, support this man. He is our man, is he your man? When even the person's maybe kinsmen are not comfortable with the person. It doesn't matter which part of the country he's coming from. And so, merit is being thrown to the dogs. Nobody is bothered about that. This is the only thing that is now. You're not looking at my.
I get it.
So this is the only thing that is now available. That's the only argument he has to converse with.
Okay, comrade.
Yeah.
Now, involving the Campaign for Democracy, the group insisted that the EFCC and ICPC should look into this matter and get whosoever that is involved in this money sharing, arrested. Do they have such right?
Well, Campaign for Democracy did not even begin today. You must remember that Campaign for Democracy was there in June 12, 1993. Yes, Campaign for Democracy was there. CD was active in the politics of June 12, and they've been there ever since. They've been lending their voice and opinion to any matter, any national matter, or any national or any matter of nationality.
I'm talking about the involvement of ICPC.
They have right to bring in EFCC and ICPC. And ICPC and EFCC have right to also investigate, you understand, such matters if or to the extent they can establish that such inducement may have gone against our financial laws or our laws, you understand. But be that as it may, I do not even understand, you understand, yet what we may expect the EFCC and ICPC to do in this case, because this is not the first time. Before the budgets are passed, this kind of lobbying too. will always, yes, it will play out.
We understand it.
Yes, before the budget is passed. In fact, before a minister or any ministry gets to defend its budget before the committee, even at the committee level, a lot of things happen, underhand dealings happen. We are not even privy to, and they call it lobbying too. And let me also state this, that this is a culture that has rubbed off from the APC and PDP primaries, this culture of dollar raining. You know, when they had their primaries, it was just a rain of dollar that the president was forced to deploy the same EFCC and ICPC, you understand, to ground, to come and do, to even help check this anomaly.
And what was the result?
Nothing was actually,
as usual.
Nothing came of that exercise. Nothing came of that exercise. But then it should worry us that what we produce, in fact, even the PDP and the APC, how the candidates emerged, there were news that those who were on the ballot or those who actually aspired to these positions had to pay, or in most cases, lobby their way. You understand? They had to lobby, and we started hearing about.
Comrade has a better way of presenting this issue than I do.
Yes, we see. We now started hearing about delegates. And remember also that the National Assembly members are also delegates. We are delegating powers to them to represent us. So the same thing that both parties did at primary level is now becoming a culture. That is what it simply means. And if care is not taken, it may take root and become a norm and a convention.
All right, Council, with what is happening and the involvement of ICPC and EFCC, is there any constitutional value against this, if we call it bribery, but with the
constitutional value?
Yeah, is there any constitution, that supports what they are doing, that you must give this lobbying? If I should borrow your terms, you must give it before becoming a
No, certainly not. There is no rule that would support bribery in any form. Lobbying is allowed. I have said so. It a legislative or parliamentarian acronym, or rather a term. So it is allowed to call people together, reach out to them, lobby, try to convince them. Same thing like canvassing for votes, no difference. Along the process of canvassing for support, things begin to happen, not otherwise contemplated by the law or any sensible person. So there is no provision in the Constitution that says you should not lobby. There is no provision of the Constitution that encourages you either to go about bribing people. In fact, there are laws that criminalize bribery in any form. Both the person giving and the person taking are both guilty.
So please, just in a few seconds, can you differentiate bribery and lobbying?
No, I said that lobbying is a general term used to refer to persuading people to agree with your own viewpoint.
Without financial attachment.
It's a general term.
Okay.
Steps you take to persuade them. Under lobbying, some people include bribery.
Okay. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Under lobbying, some people include bribery. To the extent now that whenever you use the innocent term lobby, the only place people's mind will go to is bribery. They are not one and the same.
I think I also have to learn credence to that. You see, if we here seated should constitute a parliamentarian body, or let me say a legislature, and I want a bill to be passed. I want a bill to be passed. My bill now, I am coming up with a bill, and I want that bill to be passed or to be read. I have to go and meet members and talk to them about the importance of the bill.
That's lobbying.
That is lobbying. To talk to them about the
you might spend 1 hour with
why the bill is important, what the bill will bring about.
But when you get up to present it, you might not have all the time to make all the arguments.
Yes.
But having done so behind the scenes, so by the time you get up and you speak briefly, they already know where you're coming from.
Yes, and then
so that is what lobbying.
When
and it comes from. Sorry, let me help. It comes actually from a particular geographical location in the national land or in the legislature. That place that they usually troop out to and congregate.
Yes.
The
lobby. The lobby.
That place they meet.
Yeah.
And start discussing informally. That is where that
business arrangement
got its name from the lobby. Yes. So it's like reach out to them within that space.
Yeah.
Informally.
Because you may not have time to do some things at the executive, at the committee level or at any other level. You understand? So it's just a normal thing that
because
happens.
I remember one of our House of Representative members, you know, when he was talking about some of the laws or whatever he presented, he asked if anybody knows how much, what it cost
him. He spent
lobbying.
No,
that is
what it cost him.
Yes.
What it cost him.
He said money.
Yes. No, if he has said money, that's where we'll begin to worry. But if he says what it cost him, it may have meant going to the person's, like you hang out with the person for some evenings, playing golf or tennis,
or even
just
drinking.
to reach out and
drinking.
To reach out to the person.
Drinking.
Yes. So if he says, do you know what it cost me in terms of timing? It could cost anything. But if you are beginning to introduce money, then he is now saying, I gave bribe to my colleagues and they collected. He is criminalizing himself and his colleagues.
And most times,
EFCC to go and ask him, how much did you pay? And to who did you pay? He has already confessed that he committed a crime. Yeah. If he says he spent money lobbying, he has already confessed.
You see, if you remember very well about the third term agenda of President Olusegun Obasanjo, monies were given to lawmakers in the name of lobbying, and that was a clear case of bribery. You understand? Some of them were allegedly said to have received these monies and then even supported the third term agenda until cooler heads and the wisdom prevailed.
Until they were blackmailed into submission by their constituents, who now came out and insisted that the debate should be televised. The live debate should
and
be
the
televised.
voting done electronically.
So that every person
can be aware.
not just electronic, that each person would speak individually and vote. You get up and tell the nation where you are voting. Don't just thumbprint or signify. Those of you know each person, and that day they took almost the whole day. Each person will get up and say, my constituents said I wanted to go left, but they said I should go right, so I'm going right. If I go left now, when I get home, they will burn my house. That was how that thing failed.
All right, this group, CD, they said they have it through their impeccable source that some ranking senators have started using their ill-gotten wealth to woo the returning senators and the new members who have just received their certificate of return from the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, last week with dollars and other hard currencies in order to win their votes when electing principal officers of the NAS. Now, one of the political officers, before we go on break, one of the political officers in APC said that the party have not sat to zone. And let me come to you also. Now, APC is the ruling party. Now, we've said there is nothing, it is not constitutional that it must come from that ruling party. Now, must it also be zoned?
Let me take us back to 2011. What happened in the House of Representatives?
Okay.
The ruling party then, the PDP, zoned because they had a comfortable majority, unlike what you have now with APC. In the coming 10th assembly, they don't have a very comfortable majority. But then, the PDP had a very comfortable majority, and they zoned the speakership of the House of Reps to Southwest. In fact, the way, if you understand in politics how some of these zonings are done taking into consideration individuals. By the time you say we wanted to go to so and so place, there is already somebody that you have in mind that now influences zoning to that place. So when you push it first and block to that place, you now start narrowing down. So they had in mind I'm trying to Mulikat, that was her name, a lady.
Mulikat.
Yes. I wouldn't remember her surname, but I know it was Mulikat. They had zoned it to that place. That was also the person they said the president was comfortable with, blah, blah, blah. But the reps members were not comfortable with it, even from within PDP. And so what they now did was to rebel. They went against the zoning, went against the choice of the individual, and now chose Right Honorable, His Excellency Right Honorable Tambuwal. That was how Tambuwal emerged. And His Excellency Right Honorable Emeka Ihedioha emerged as the deputy.
Yes.
Contrary to the wishes of the party, the way the legislature operates, when it comes to politicking, they politic in their zones, each person. By the time they get back to the collegiate level as an institution, interest is now what guides them. Their own interest first and foremost. So whatever the party says, if the party is not saying things along the line of their own interest, they will go against it.
Okay. Council, from what, comrade, from what Council said, do you think this zoning as APC is planning will be very possible?
It may not be possible because APC's constitution did not contemplate zoning. Unlike PDP's constitution that talked about zoning.
Even when you have zoning in PDP constitution, they still went against it.
They still go against it. In some instances and occasions. You see, APC constitution, the APC constitution which I have, did not contemplate zoning. So and now why you are seeing this competition or competitiveness within or among these lawmakers is because Bola Ahmed Tinubu said he doesn't have a preferred candidate. Normally, like Council did say, in most cases, the president who will inaugurate that chamber will have interest. And it begins like a business. In fact, the clerk of the house will be, although not declared anyway or written, but will be acting as the speaker or the Senate president, because he will be the one to announce the presence of the leader or the president or Tinubu or whoever to now do what? Inaugurate the house. After which the house will now go back to business of what? Election. When the Senate president and the speaker are elected, they themselves will now sit. You understand? Begin to handle the gavel and now conduct other elections and other functions. And the appointments of principal officers, those who accompany them. That time you hear the mess bearer shouting, the Senate president, the principal officers are those coming with the Senate. They don't even go to the floor until they hear from the Senate president or the speaker. So this is just, I think to me, it depends on where the pendulum swings. And that is why you are seeing these people jostle and then trying to even jokey, trying to even outmaneuver, outflank, and even outdo the other persons, because it could go anyway. You understand? APC constitution, unlike the PDP constitution, they did not uphold zoning. That's number one. Then number two, Bola Ahmed Tinubu has said he has no candidate, so it means it is open, and that is why the money bags are now beginning to play at the fore.
All right, Council, from the analysis you gave as when PDP was in power, now does it mean that the chief executive, the chief driver, if I should borrow your word, the chief driver must have a say in whosoever that becomes the Senate president?
No. The truth of the matter is that ordinarily, it is not his business.
Okay.
He has no business making a choice for the legislature, because that is interference. Just like they wouldn't be dictating to him who to appoint as minister, but they will screen, because that particular function is provided for by law. He will inaugurate, because that particular function is also provided by law. But he wouldn't dictate to them who. As a matter of fact, in other places, if it is known that you enjoy the private support or personal support of the chief executive, it is even a ground or reason for your colleagues to feel unsafe having you there. They'll say, you are going to put yourself under the executive. You're going to be like a stooge tied to their apron string.
Exactly.
So usually they are not supposed to. But this is Nigeria, where even in a state, the government is interested in
the speakers.
No, that is going too far. The government is interested in who is the chairman, secretary, vice president, woman leader of OSIN, Traders Association, Traders Association, meat table butchers. These are things happening in all the states, I can assure you. All the states, in all the markets, they are not, I'm not even talking of the entire market. They call them zonal chairman or line chairman. If the state governments are interested in almost every market, in who is
in the market unions, and I think if at all we are a democracy so properly called, you look at what happens in America. The American Congress, except on rare occasion, can hardly be controlled by the same party controlling the executive. Go and check. The American Congress is usually insulated, in fact, different from the executive, unlike our own, in most cases, which appears to be an appendage or extension of the executive. And that was why, when it was the turn of the Southeast to do the Senate president, virtually all the states in the Southeast had a test of it. If you bring Senator Choba Okadibu, Obasanjo was not comfortable with him. You bring Senator Anyem Pius, Obasanjo was not comfortable with him. You bring Mwabara, Obasanjo was not comfortable with him. You bring Ken Nnamani, Obasanjo was not comfortable. So you see, that is the reason why in Nigeria we don't have yet independence of the legislature.
All right, we are going to go on a very short break. When we come back, Nigeria Today continues. Remember, they issued the Senate presidency of the State National Assembly. That's what we are talking about, and that's what the analysts are looking at. All right, we are going to go on a short break. We'll be back shortly. Keep watching Living Television and your program, Nigeria Today.
And so you can keep on watching Living TV. I can say in pidgin.
The amount of money, 10,000 to the number of senators involved.
I said earlier that